I can't believe it. We are halfway through the semester. Where has the time gone? Not sure. We are in the 4th week of the semester. We're currently on Module 3. Module 3 closes on the 18th. Please note inside this module, you have 2 quizzes as well as a writing assignment, which you had not previously had. You had quizzes and then like an assessment. You will have 2 quizzes and a writing assignment inside this module. There are a couple of you that are missing a few assignments, so I've sent you emails. Please reach out to me if you are having trouble, if you're not understanding something, if you have life going on. I understand, but make sure you communicate, because starting next week I will start submitting drops. If you're not performing academically in the class, if you have not logged on, if I have not heard anything from you, I will start submitting drops. So please contact me, follow up, send me an email, reply to my email that I sent you about your lack of participation or academic performance. Next thing I wanted to bring to your attention is your final exam. So we will not have a written final exam in this class. In this class, you will have a final presentation, which will be a PowerPoint presentation. This presentation is actually a comparative juvenile justice assignment. As soon as I finish this video, will post a list of countries. You will select one country you would like to research, and you are going to compare their juvenile justice system to our juvenile justice system, and you're putting that in a PowerPoint format. I will post a rubric as well, but I just want to get that on your radar, that you will not have a written final exam in this class. You will have one the midterm, but then your final exam is actually a final presentation where you will do a comparative analysis of juvenile justice in 2 different countries, our country and another country, and I'll post that list for you. So what have we been talking about? What have you been researching and learning so far? Obviously, in these first couple modules, what we first have done is set the historical context for juvenile justice, kind of looking at where it has evolved from to where we are today. We've also looked at some very important legal case precedents that have changed and totally shifted how and what we do in our juvenile justice system. So I'm just going to go over a couple things I want to highlight. Make sure you're tracking and understanding some things. So one, we have North Carolina, we have a delinquent, we have undisciplined juvenile. So you have a delinquent juvenile, you have an undisciplined juvenile. Undisciplined, if you're in my face-to-face class, you will hear me refer to, or sometimes they say that they're not behaving, right? Delinquent, they have committed acts which, if they were adults, would be criminal acts and they would be charged, but they're going through the juvenile system. Things I want you to understand and highlight is, when we talk about the juvenile justice system, I have a little dance I do in my face-to-face class, or a little saying, and I'll do it with you so you can try to remember the steps we're talking about in this. C-I-PAD, and I just put my hands down. So C-I-PAD, C-I-PAD. And that's an acronym or a little saying to think about the juvenile justice flow chart, how it actually works. So C is complaint. It always starts with a complaint. In juvenile justice, a complaint may come from law enforcement or citizen. Law enforcement or citizen. Then you have the I, which is intake, and that's the intake officer. And really, at that point in the case, the intake officer has a lot of discretion to, as far as how that case would go, because you have the discretion to either divert, which is called diversion. So you have this complaint that's been filed. The intake officer does like the preliminary investigation, see what's going on, and he or she may choose to divert it from that point, meaning you're going to some of the community resources, some of the outside resources, or they may decide to proceed with filing a petition, then when you will start going through the court system. So C is your complaint, I is your intake, the P is the petition. Then you have your A, adjudication. Adjudication is what's equivalent to, on our side, the trial. Adjudication is what is equivalent to a trial on, when I say our side, the adult side. Then you have a disposition. Disposition is what is equivalent to the sentencing. So juvenile is detention, not the sentencing. And then under disposition, my apologies, you have 1, 2, or 3 levels: level 1, level 2, level 3, as far as what the punishment will be or what will be rendered as a part of that. things to understand with the juvenile justice system and some of the important cases like Inwell Guard, Inwell Winship, Roper versus Simmons, very important cases set the precedence. One thing that we know, a juvenile will not be sentenced to death, regardless of the crime. A juvenile will not be sentenced to death. Case precedent said that. However, a juvenile can be sentenced. So if you understanding that once the raise the age has gone, so we have the new initiative raise the age, which now eliminates the fact that 16 and 17-year-olds are automatically charged as an adult. They're not automatically charged as an adult. That's no longer. That's what the raise the age initiative did. But what I want you to understand is, let's say you are 14 or you're 15 and you commit that Class A felony murder, you can be sentenced to life without parole. Not the death penalty. Even if it's punishable by the death penalty, you will not receive the death penalty. And that's regardless if you're 14 and then 15 or 16 or going forth with that. If you're charged with that because of your age, you are not going to be. Obviously, what I'm making a point is that you may be wavered over to adult court, you may be found guilty, but you still will not be sentenced to death. But it will be life without parole. Second thing I want to highlight is the burden of proof in a juvenile case and civil case. So historically, when it first came out, the burden of proof was actually preponderance of evidence. Historically, it changed. In your PowerPoint, you see what case actually changed to establish and make it beyond a reasonable doubt. So if a juvenile is going through juvenile court, the standard of proof is still beyond reasonable doubt, which is a greater test than preponderance of evidence. So the standard of proof actually made it more difficult for the prosecutors. Previously, it was fairly easy with the preponderance of evidence. However, in status offense, the standard of proof is preponderance of evidence. So understanding when the preponderance of evidence and beyond a reasonable doubt standard of proof is applicable when you're talking juveniles. So I want to make sure you understand that. CIPAD, make sure you understand CIPAD, understand the flow of the juvenile justice system, the different standard of proofs for juvenile, those very important legal cases that have totally changed the dynamics and how we look at juveniles and to the purpose of our juvenile justice system. What are we doing and why are we here? I will also share the 2015 annual report from the North Carolina Juvenile Justice Department, which has some interesting statistics that I think you would find, or I hope you find them interesting. They were interesting to me, that I will post in the class as well. I will offer a live chat class, live chat for this class. Today is Friday. Friday at 7 p.m. we will do a live chat. So that's essentially what I'm doing now, but it's live. I'll create the URL and I'll send that out for us to come on, discuss, talk. If you have questions, we can go over the presentation and more. Sometimes I do like pop quiz reviews. Just a time for us to actually interact with one another. So again, looking at the calendar, Friday is the 15th. Oh, it will not be 7. Correction. We will not do that at 7. That will be at 8:30. I'll do that a little later. So Friday at 8:30 p.m. this Friday on the 15th, I will offer a live chat session for you to come on and check us out. So feel free to shoot me an email, give me a call if you have any questions. I'll send a list. I'll post that list for the countries, and then I will also post a grading rubric so you can know exactly what I'm looking for in your presentation. I will talk to you guys soon.